Awesome. Well, RBs are doing great. They are being very coachable. They're energetic. They're enthusiastic. They are doing all the things that we were asked them to do as far as bringing it, as far as being one of our it's that Coach Freeze is always talking about here culturally. They're doing a good job. They're bringing it. They're doing the things that we asked them to do when we talk about our reads and the learning process and our pass protection, and then just finishing the things that they started from drill to drill.
Obviously, elephant in the room is how do you replace a guy like Frankie Hickson?
Man, how do you replace a guy like Frankie Hickson? Well, you have Cedro that's in the room now, right? We got him in the spring. That's one way. Making sure that J Mack is doing the things he's supposed to do on the field. That's another way. Troy Henderson is another way, and Peyton Pickett. That those four guys, and then there's one or two guys in the back scene like Frank Boyd. But those four guys that we just named, all those guys will give us something different in that room.
If you're just joining us, Flames running back coach Bruce Johnson here with us. If you've got a question for Coach, just go ahead and introduce yourself and ask away.
Coach Damian Sordelet with the News in Advance. You got a nice mixture of power and speed back there with
Yes,
obviously J-Mac and Peyton being between the tackles runner, and then you can get explosiveness with Troy and Cedro. Is that a good mixture for you to have and a good way to keep other teams off balance with the type of productivity you can get from them?
Yes, sir. Yes, I think it brings. I want to make up a word, but it gives us a dynamic backfield with having Cedro and having Troy and those guys being speed guys and a change up. And then not only that, but Mac's a good lane runner now, and he's got some good vision. He brings some game-breaking ability as well. Pickett does give us some ability to run between the tackles being strong, but not only that, he has a little speed that Dom, being, those guys being in that weight room with Dom has showed up and is starting to show up now.
At the beginning of last year, J-Mac had the issue with the fumble against Syracuse. Really didn't get to see the field a lot. How has he done in terms of his ball control and being a guy who can carry the workload?
Yes, sir. Well, we immediately fixed that as soon as that happened, right? So that him being coachable and all that good stuff. So in that first game, had he not fumbled, I think the story would be a little different, but that's in the past, right? So we have not had a fumble since then. And Frankie did a heck of a job of not fumbling for 2 years, right? So with Mac fumbling that one fumble going in, and had he done it, whatever, that would have probably been a little different. But ever since then, it's been, hey, ball security at the highest point, right? So our guy, Josh Aldridge, Coach Aldridge, the D-line coach, right? He got on me every week about us not, us protecting the ball. So, so hearing that from those guys on the staff and Coach Reeves being on us about it, I think it helped. We spend a good chunk of time, 5 minutes before we get going to any of our team activities as far as inside run and team and whatnot. But then we spend another 5-10 minutes after practice. So that is something we harp about. We harp on that about ball security. So we're going to have one last year, thank God, and hopefully none this year.
What's the biggest?
Frank.
Hey,
Go ahead.
hey, Coach John Manson here, Sierra Red Hook.
What's up, John?
Doing well. You mentioned Peyton, talked about him a little bit. What do you hope to see out of him this year, and what has kind of been your message for him as he looks to maybe have a bigger role in 2020?
Well, the message to Peyton from day one has been, hey man, you're going to get the opportunity to go in, and we've been, I don't know if it's running backs by committee, right? But we do a series thing. So one guy goes to series, and then the next guy comes in. So that role, like we did with the two backs last year, is going to be similar to this year, right? So Mac will start it out, then Pickett will come in. If Pickett gets hot, he'll stay in. Vice versa. If Mac gets hot and he goes 2 series, then Pickett will come in. So that's the plan, right? And then you got those other 2 guys. So just to expand on what he's brought to the table. When we got here last year, we knew that Pickett had got a few games where he brought something to it, right? So I think he had like 11 TDs or whatnot, some big time short, down a distant runs. And, he had 1 or 2 games where he had 100 yards apiece or 100 yards or so per game. And so just to add on it this year, those guys sharing the role and keeping those guys fresh. Last year we doggone came close. Had Mac not fumbled in that first game, I think he would have had more given to him. So he ended up with like 800 something yards rushing, whereas Hickson had 1,000, right? So I think we can do the same thing with these two guys, and then Shadro and Troy adding something to it.
Hey guys, we're joined here by Flames running back coach Bruce Johnson. If you just joined us, we will be having Coach Freeze join us here in just a little bit. Also, Coach Josh Aldridge from the defensive line. But right now, we're just taking questions for Flames running back coach Bruce Johnson. So we'll forego the hand-raising option today. If you've got a question, just state your name, affiliation, and go ahead and ask away.
Coach, back to Troy. We saw
Yes, sir.
flashes of what he could do last year in the, mop-up duty against FCS teams. What has he built on? Did you see in the spring that he was able to build on? Then what's he been able to do this summer with Dom?
His vision. All right, so summer with Dom, he's gotten faster. He's gotten a little thicker. He's toner. So you see the mass on his body has changed drastically, right? So, we don't say built by Dom, but Dom has done a heck of a job of getting these guys in the right direction. So Troy, right now, going through this process of camp or whatnot, he looks explosive. He's catching the ball in the backfield. He's getting upfield and having some really good bursts and one-cut sticks. And even between the tackles, as we read on our inside zone and our and some of our middle zone, he's doing a really good job of getting his read where his target is and seeing those guys moving one direction or other and making some really solid cuts and getting his shoulders down. That's something he didn't do last year when he did have the opportunities in practice and whatnot and 1 or 2 shots in some game mop-up time. But you see his shoulders go down to the grass and you see him split defenders and you see him tight. One of the things we say is trim the fat on those blocks. So when he's getting by a tackle, you can see him scrape skin and get skinny, and he does some things with his body that's pretty neat. So I don't know if that answered that question, but the one thing that I heard from Dom last week was the increase from these guys, their explosiveness. So a couple of guys jumped like 33, 34, 35 in vertical jumps. So Troy's definitely explosive in some things that he can do with his mechanics and his body. So,
Coach, you guys had 25 rushing touchdowns last year, and I know Frankie had a lot of those, but you've got a lot of those guys back. I mean, tell me about just the mentality that these running backs possess and just the overall. You talked about the it factor and the drive. I mean, just tell me about how much of it is just a want-to thing.
It is with all of these guys in that backfield in that room. It's a wanted. It's a put the team on my back mentality. It's finish. It's always about competing and doing the things that we can do to help this football program win games, right? So I didn't know we had 25 TDs last year, and I guess that's a combination of all the people that got it on the ground or whatnot. But just increase the level of knowledge of knowing what the fronts are, the schematics, defensive schematics, just knowing what a 3 technique is, a 1 technique, where the linebacker alignments are and where the safeties are. Those things like that, and knowing the nuances of what you're supposed to know as a running back in the backfield, I think those things will all help. And those guys know that's the knowledge that they need to bring to the table when they're on the grass. So that's what they know. They know their mentality is to finish everything that we start and do it with a family mentality.
And Coach, one more from me just on Shadro Lewis. You guys moving him over there to the running back role. I mean, what does he bring to that position? Tell me about the decision-making process there. Really, anytime you move a guy from a position.
Dynamic, man. He's explosive. That little guy is a compact muscle machine, right? So he's a little compact muscle. He's super explosive, and he brings an ability for us to change the pace of the game, just like Troy. And you get a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. You get a guy you can spread out and do some things with motion the back end. Same thing we did with Frankie and J-Mac last year, and a little bit like Pickett. Pickett lined up at the X receiver against Virginia and caught that big ball and got hurt literally before that play. And had he not got hurt, he probably would have taken it in for a touchdown, but he got us in the situation where we were able to score. But he'll be able to do those things, and looking forward to it.
Does it feel good to have Frank Boyd focus on just one position this year instead of bouncing between running back and cornerback last year?
It does. Frank Dom has done a heck of a job of getting his mechanics right. Last year, just getting here and seeing him run and giving him the opportunity to be a part of the depth chart and add something to it, his mechanics were all over the place. And so Dom has done a heck of a job of getting a guy to stream down some of his loose mechanics, with his arms and whatnot. And so, just watching him run the ball is 10 times better than what it was before. I think it's going to help him. I think adding depth to the depth chart. The one thing that's going to help him too is finding a way to get on the bus or the plane on special teams, right? So, but he does have a bright future, man. He does.
What's been the sense in your group around all this uncertainty around college football and whether a season will be played? What's been the sense in your group of, are they upbeat? Are they worried? Or how are they handling all of this?
It's all about winning the day. We know there's a situation here in the country and around the world. It's about being tougher together and win the day. And you're blessed, man. You get the opportunity to walk out in the grass. You get the opportunity to wake up. When you wake up in the morning, just to handle those things in front of you. So that's what the mentality's been. The mentality's been, I'm around family, I'm with family, and it's tougher together.
Hey, Coach, this is Eric Johnson with WSLS 10 out of Roanoke. I appreciate your time today. Just had the question. I know you guys produced a lot last season in your room there. Is there any added pressure going into this season, considering, with Buckshot being gone now? I know he did a ton in terms of getting the ball down the field for this team, but is there any added pressure to your room to perhaps step up a little bit more this season?
It's not, man. Hey, it's a part of the system, right? Seeing this system work another place and seeing the system work last year, it's a part of it. And those guys know that when they're given the opportunity, whether it's been the ball's being handed off or if they're out involved in the route and protection and whatnot, they just add value just like they did last year. And they're kind of like this D line, right? So Coach Aldridge is about to talk to you guys in a second, man, but they got a workman attitude. Let's go, put the ball down and let's go. So their mentality is way better than what it was last year, and we did a good job with that. But now they're at a point now where they just want to play ball and go to work. So, I don't know if that's any added pressure, but they're just good guys, man, and they're excited about doing the things we did last year and just adding on to it.
We got a question for you from Jermaine over at WFXR in Roanoke. Jermaine, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Coach. How you doing today?
So, Jermaine.
What's going on? The guru of the running back room, as they say.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I got to ask you, obviously, over the time, the emphasis on the passing game over the years has been real big. But there's always a place for running backs, and it seems like it's either, you have that bell cow running back or running back by committee. But how special is it for you to just coach these running backs and get them rocking and rolling and know that, hey, they do have a place in an offense that a lot of times people look at, hey, we're going to throw the ball, as many times as we can?
Man, it's pretty cool, brother. It's pretty cool. I'm like the guys, man. I get up, when I leave the house and I kiss my kids and I say bye to my wife and I go to work and I'm just like, dude, I get the opportunity to be, the running back coach every day, right? And the opportunity to pour in these young men's lives and hearts about running back play. But not only that, but the things that come with it, with life, right? But just running back play, the nuances about being a running back and how to play that position and how to read the defensive front and how to see the linebackers and the patience and, slow to, fast through, and all those little different things that go along with playing running back. So, I try to come up with different drills every day. And I got my bag of drills that I do all the time and try not to get stale, but I try to find little different things that, that most people probably don't do at that position, but something that coincides with the mechanics of playing running back, right? So, man, I love it. I don't know if it's definitely not a guru, none of that, but like our D-line guy, he's a part of this guru crew down in Louisiana. But I enjoy it, man. I enjoy getting the opportunity to be in that room with those guys, and whether it's virtual in the room or on the grass, teaching those guys how to play running back and how to put their hands on the linebacker or defender when he's coming across the ball on pass protection, or how to correctly receive the ball in the hand on a catch, or how do we receive a handoff, whether I'm short or tall or whatever it may be at that position. But I enjoy every moment of it. I'm sorry
Thank
to
you,
be
Coach. No, that's okay. I appreciate your answer. But one real quick question I got to ask
Yes,
you.
sir.
What is the biggest piece of advice you give to your running back? If there's just one thing that, as far as advice you give to your running backs, what would that be and why?
Well, outside of it, it's choices and how we react to life. The choices and decisions that we make as young men, right? You know, we're not perfect, but we do strive to do some things the correct way and the right way, right? Especially being in the Jesus-centered university that we're at, right? So, life, right? And how we do life and how we treat others. That part of it, right? That one scope. But then the football end of it, man, just finish, right? You get on the grass, you step on the grass, just finish. Finish with the ball, finish the run, finish the block, finish the catch, finish, right? And always compete and do it for your teammates. Just finish. So I don't know if I think it answered your question, but you know.
Yeah, it hit the nail on the head, Coach. Thank you so
Yes, sir.
much. I appreciate it.
man.
All right, guys, we got time for maybe one or two more here, and then we're going to be bringing Coach Freeze in here shortly. So, Bruce Johnson, the coach of the running backs, if you guys got one or two more, take those now.
I'll jump in here with one more question. I don't know how well you know Turner Gill, but what did you think of the hire to bring him and Kelvin Edwards into working like a non-football role at the university?
Well, I don't know Turner Gill, and I don't know the other gentleman well at all. I don't know who he is or whatnot, but I just know Turner Gill, like literally was like a captain at Nebraska, and I worked for a guy that played in Nebraska with him a long time ago. So I know his name because he played quarterback, and then I know his name because he was a coach here previously. So I think all that's good, and I think it's great for the university. So.
Jermaine, go ahead and ask your one more here.
All right, I got to ask you this.
Yes, sir.
This is sort of a it's an easy one. It's not a hard one.
Okay.
I got to ask you, what's your thoughts? First of all, have you watched any of the Last Chance U series? And number two, just your thoughts about that series.
Well, I did not watch I think they had 3 seasons.
4.
All right.
They have,
3 or 4. I've not
I
watched.
think they're in their 5th season right now.
Oh man, and like literally, I've watched. I ain't gonna lie now. Being at home, I've got the chance to watch this last one in Oakland, Laney College,
Yes,
and that is something. You know, those junior colleges, man, out west, there's no dorms, literally no dorms. And so I used to recruit that area when I was at University of San Diego some years ago, and had some of those schools. I didn't have the Bay, but then when I went to Alabama State, I literally recruited 76 of those schools in that conference up in California. Literally, it is the craziest thing that they have no dorms and the amount of money that those kids are given. So seeing it from the light of a fan or for someone just watching it on TV, it was a little different now. But you know, watching my wife and sitting there and it's like, man, that's different. And took me back to when I was coaching at Phoenix College because we had kids that were there and a little different, just because of the dorm situation and scholarship situation, but just watching it. You know, my wife's a Bay Area girl or whatnot, and you know, we started listening to music and all that good stuff. So they got us laughing a little bit. So I love Bay Area music, but just it's Last Chance U. I'll probably watch 1 or 2 more episodes, but it's kind of cool.